Good morning, and call to order the September 26, 2017 Wright County Board meeting. We'll begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
let the record reflect that nobody took a knee during this.
No one took a knee.
Thank you.
Wright County is proud patriots.
Well, no, that's during the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, that's right.
And if the board chair would have been singing it, I wouldn't have taken a knee, but I would have used my hands over my ears.
Okay.
Enough of
The minutes from September 19th board meeting, has anyone had a chance to look them over? Commissioner Houston?
Mr. Chair, just one little typo.
Okay.
On page 7, under the Public Works Labor Management Advisory Committee.
What number?
Page 7.
No, on page 7.
Number 4.
Number 4,
Yep.
okay.
We just need to remove that $ where it said Houston attended the meeting. She said it was 140,000 tons, but there's a $ there, so if we could just remove that, please.
Okay. Yes or no, how many dollars was it?
It's not dollars, it's tons. Yes or no?
dollar tons.
Okay. All right, Susan, you got that one? Okay. Anyone else have any additions, corrections for the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. That's corrected.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighted, second by Commissioner Hewson. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The agenda for today, so everyone had a chance to look that over, and then I guess we have a late-term addition from our Assistant County Attorney, Mr. Kreiser.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I would like to petition on scheduling a public hearing for County Ditch 36 for the purposes of reestablishing the County Ditch 36 drainage system records. We currently have 2 systems scheduled for public hearing on October 17th at 9:30. I'd just like to add this to that date. And if we approve this today, I can get the notice published and mailed in time. Looking to add this to consent underneath the auditor treasurer.
Okay, and board, it would make sense as long as we're all gathered here. We have all the people that need to be here getting paid to come to add the one more, so save a hearing.
So that's under Bob, number 3?
We'll put that under
I
Bob's.
think I can just be consent.
Consent agenda.
We'll just put it on the
Consent, that's
consent.
A
Okay.
under consent.
All right.
So that'll be item
E.
Item E under the consent agenda, Lee?
That will work, yep.
Okay.
Or C2.
Be easier to do E.
E2.
E.
Well, it wouldn't be G, it wouldn't have anything to do with Health and Human Services.
No, I said C. C2. Whatever.
E.
Let's do E. E is easier for our...
We got E, we have E
E?
down.
Okay.
I would recommend E.
36. Okay, with that addition to the agenda, is there anyone else, or could we have a motion to approve the
I'll make a
agenda?
motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighted, second by Commissioner Vetch to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The consent agenda for today, with the addition of item E.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighted, second by Commissioner Hewson. No one wants anything looked at? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next up, Mr. Robert Hevel, our Auditor Treasurer. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Board. You passed this on the consent agenda. We should probably have you sign it so we can post it. That's for that. Board, I apologize. Hot off the press, working with OpenGov on a contract for, remember last Tuesday I showed you the dashboards? That was a beta product that I've been working with them on. They are offering a contract now. It's going to go live. We do have a little bit of a discount if we were to sign it because I helped with the beta test of it. For that contract, we've already prepaid for OpenGov for 17, 18, and 19. This new feature called Dashboards and Performance Measurements is another product, and what it does is it kind of focuses the attention of you or the department heads specifically to pre-filtered data. I apologize, I started rolling that out yesterday to have people take a look at it, but what they're offering is a discount for the first year of $15,000 for this additional module, and then $2,850 for an automatic interface that we would have an automatic interface to them every day with the most current financial data that we have. The second year of the contract, which would be 18, that 15 would go up to 18,872.70. So it is a significant investment, but I do believe that this is where it makes a difference to not only you, but also to the department heads and then future to the public.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner Vetch.
I don't know if any of you got the email that was pushed out yesterday. And actually, I installed it onto my phone. It's once you use it, it's a pretty sweet tool. I mean, you can filter out a lot of the different departments, a lot of the different usages. You can go up to the auditor's office. As of right now, we'd have to go to the auditor's office if you want to put different dashboards, but there's preset templates as to, you can watch in, right now, semi-real time, but hopefully in time would be real time, probably real time meaning a weekly basis. Would that be a realistic expectation in the future?
Well, for this price, that'd almost be a daily update.
Be a daily update, okay. So real time, be able to watch the dollars come and go from revenues and expenditures. In watching it within a graphed style. I mean, it was very interesting. I was able to pull up there from postage usage to overtime usage and just put it right there on my phone with just 2 clicks. You can look at where we're at within, and then a couple more clicks, I can filter down to different departments and where they're at. You know, from being able to track from a very high level without having to spend a lot of time asking for the information, this is how you do it.
And Bob, I know you're active using this, and Commissioner Vetch is, but do we have department heads that are actually using this to?
We do have several. It has not been rolled out the way I had hoped to, but part of it was the setting it up, tearing it down, setting up, tearing it down, and then getting onto this whole concept of idea of dashboards. Kind of slowed down the deployment. But we have several departments that are using it. Todd Hoffman, I know he's here. He would rather use...
Todd's not here today.
Right. He would rather use OpenGov to look at his financial data than to go into the accounting program. So those were his words that he said.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So how much time is it going to be required for IT to do this daily sort of stuff, to get it set up?
Right. We have to work. We have a project intake form submitted, so it's when we have a time to sit down with them and map it out. We already had one meeting with OpenGov, Tryman, which is our vendor behind our accounting program, and IT. But this is slated onto the document, on their document set, so it's whenever they get a chance to. I think OpenGov is ready to help us out with it.
So we're going to pay for something that's not going to get set up yet until IT has the time to do it.
Essentially, I mean.
And here it says cost for 2018 is $19,000. Didn't you say we were going to be saving 5 or something?
Yeah,
because according, you know, what we have on here, it says automation of interfaces, contract cost for 2018 is $19,000. And then the funding could be recorders technology.
Right. Again, they gave me this morning, the actual contracts now. So I think when I submitted my contract, I may have referred to a potential $5,000 savings. But what they're giving us is a $3,808.02 discount on the first year.
Up that 19,000.
Right.
15 to...
Board here would, and we already prepaid for reporting and analysis. That's what we currently have had for the last 8 months. So we don't have to prepay, we don't have to pay that again. But they'd be offering the performance analysis. Going back to the question, when we can start implementing the non-financial data, that's where a lot of this really takes off a different meaning. And that's still going to take some time to get to.
Mr. Chair, Bob, if we don't do this, we won't be able to ever, I mean, purchasing this is the step you have to do to be able to get to the point of being able to have that non-financial data into the system and being able to eventually roll it out to the general public. Ultimately the long-term goal is, roll it out to the department heads and eventually be able to have a dashboard for the general public, correct?
Correct. Right now we have reports and analysis. We have saved views that we can draw our attention to. The dashboard really pulls all those views together in one central point. Well, I showed that last week. The next part is the forward-facing to the public. It's kind of like a little storybook mode that we can add to it. But yes, a lot of this, the engine behind it all is what we already have. This dashboard is the part that translates it and consolidates and puts it all together for you and the public.
Bob, what information, like Commissioner Vetch just said, that non-financial that would have to be inputted, what would that be and who would input it? And
well, it could be any department. It could be the number of documents the recorder is recording, the number of passports we're issuing, the number of inmates, the number of incidents that the sheriff has been involved with. My favorite was the number of deer versus motorized vehicle.
Yeah.
So that we could educate the deer better.
I'm just thinking, though, that's going to, I mean, unless it just automatically pulled in off of it was monitoring some number somewhere, it's going to take somebody to enter that in. How is that going to happen?
I don't know about the automation of it, Commissioner Burrell. I mean, I think we haven't even begun to think of all the potential ideas. Our tax capacities for the last 10 years, our tax rates, our population for the last 10 years, having one central location to go and get all that data.
Because your information, when you don't necessarily go to OpenGov and enter this, it pulls it off of your reports, right? Or how does it?
Currently, they're looking at enhancements where we could actually log in there and key in data. But right now, it is files that we submit up to them. So we would actually have an Excel spreadsheet with these numbers on it that we would upload into their system.
I'm just thinking of the time, that.
Mr. Chair, these spreadsheets already exist. It's mostly more of a click and drop in the files into it, and it basically self-filters out the information. But you still, yes, have to manually pull in the spreadsheets into the OpenGov. I mean, ideally, if we would eventually get into an ERP system that would integrate with OpenGov, you would be able to remove that aspect of it, but we're not to that point yet. But this program would integrate, correct, with an ERP system, potentially, depending on what ERP system was chosen.
Right. Commissioners, our goal would be to automatic updates. I mean, that's all of our goals. The less data entry, less transposition errors.
Well, I guess that's where I'm going. I like the information. It'd be nice to have the public have that, but
right.
At what cost? I mean, it's then we're going to be asking for another person to enter the information in, and whatever.
Commissioners, honestly, we have not focused a lot on the non-financial data. We do have spatterings of some ideas, so we get the concepts out there, but we haven't begun to start looking at what kind of non-financial data that's meaningful to department heads and to you, and then ultimately to the public.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So I understand we have to work with OpenGov to get this tied together, correct? Once we get it tied together, they're going to start pulling the information from us, or are we still going to have to be working with them?
Commissioner DeLine, the question is, the automation is the finance pieces of it. That's a system where something would query our system and upload it to them automatically. So we really wouldn't be involved with it. Once a month, we'd have to go in there and change the filter for everybody to now include the new month. But you're talking about 5 minutes versus 15 minutes a day. So.
And that has to be done by technology?
The IT department has to be involved because they're inside our system or outside of our system. There's a component of having IT aware of who's in here. I understand from the accounting vendor and from them that this technology is standard, but they are behind our firewall, so IT has to be aware of what's going on there.
And when do we have to sign this in order to get that $3,800 savings?
Well, they were requesting that we sign it by the end of the month. But
And they gave this to you today, this morning?
the board, I was hammering on them for kind of discounts. One of the things I asked for was to tie an amended contract, because already we have a contract with them, to tie it to lining up with our existing contract. So right now we have 17, 18, and 19 with a 2-year automatic renewal if we choose to do it. I asked if they could write this so that it would follow the 18 and 19 with a 2-year automatic renewal. So that's the last piece that I got them to.
So, we're going to pay for 18, but we're not going to pay for anything in 17? They're going to provide this at no charge to us for the rest of the year?
I believe that's the case. I mean, they're going live, but we're still kicking out some bugs out of this thing. So I mean, I demoed it to you last Tuesday. I demoed it to Commissioner Vetch. I sent out the invite to all the department heads. You know, start getting in there, start seeing if it's answering the questions, come up with better questions. Let's see if we can make those dashboards meaningful.
Yeah, it's a problem was getting it yesterday. It was difficult to get a chance to do everything. Personally, I'd like to table this to discuss it tomorrow at the IT a little bit, IT meeting, so that we understand what it's going to, how it impacts IT. You know, to say that it takes 5 minutes, well, my 5 minutes and your 5 minutes are probably two different things.
Yeah. Board, the dashboards doesn't involve IT. I mean, that's already, I have the beta, that's already there. What we have to involve IT with is that integration.
Which really doesn't, which is extremely important, otherwise the dashboards don't mean anything.
Well, it just means that we have to manually update it, you know, and how frequently are we going to manually update it? I mean, the perfect world would be that daily update, but if we don't go with that piece and we update it weekly or bi-weekly, you know.
Okay. Well, I'd like to table it till next.
I was going to say, we're going to need to have some kind of a recommendation from the IT people, because I don't know, I feel I'm kind of removed from it a little bit.
And I think that's fair. You know, I feel like myself probably being the only person that's had a lot of usage into it and not a conversation on it. I want all the board as a whole to feel comfortable with it and see value in it, because it is not a cheap purchase. So, you know, we need to make sure that it's, you know.
And with Commissioner Burrell, I want to provide that information to the citizens, but at what cost?
So commissioners, I did give them a heads up that this may get kicked to the technology committee. I'm at a drainage conference the next 2 days, but they are willing to Skype in or go to meeting to answer the questions for you guys.
Okay.
I'll have the dial-in instructions for you.
Will Lindsay be there tomorrow at the IT? Well, she'll be at the IT meeting tomorrow,
Yeah.
since you won't be there? Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, no. Lindsay's going to the GFOA conference. Tammy will be there.
Tammy, okay.
Okay, so you want to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to table this and kick it to the Technology Committee, and with the understanding that when it comes out there'll be a recommendation.
Bring it back for next Tuesday meeting.
So it'll be October 3rd meeting? Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner DeLiden to table this. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll hear about it again in a week, I guess. So.
Tomorrow, right?
Well, they will.
So board, I've learned from the last couple times I've read my tax for next item. I'm going to have Brian come up here and walk you through this conveyance of tax forfeited property to Monticello.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As usual, I have a aerial photo so you can get a peek at this parcel. Quite quite frequently, we get requests from cities to acquire tax forfeit parcels. The county also has a right to claim tax forfeit parcels if they are needed for public purpose. This one happens to be in Monticello Township. It's at the corner of, or the intersection of CASA, County State 8 Highway 37 and County Road 119.
119, yeah.
What I'm told is that the Highway Department has that particular, I think 37, is on the 5-year plan or the plan that we just adopted as part of the local sales tax option. And this parcel, quite likely that intersection will be slightly reconfigured, and it makes sense for the county to have ownership so that we don't have to pay easement fees and that type of thing as part of the acquisition.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Is it to the east of 37 or to the left of 37?
119, is that?
I can't see.
37 curves around
Yep.
Pelican Lake, yeah.
Property is on this side.
119 comes in from the
So
south.
it's down to the left, that whole corner?
It's hard to see the highlight from
Oh,
here.
I see, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, basically, it's the parcel is right where the two roads meet.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't quite
It
sure if
must-
it was just the one or if it was both.
It must be a remnant from a 40 or something that,
Use red next time to
for
hide
whatever
it.
reason.
Okay.
What is it, like an 16th of an acre? I mean, it must be a real small.
What is it listed as here?
It's probably close to an acre, I'll bet. Half an
No, I know it's less than an acre, but I don't have the calculation here.
Because you just look at the width of the road, you
The
know.
road, okay, yeah. I was thinking,
It's not real tiny, but it's not big either.
I'll make a motion to approve this tax forfeit for the use of the Wright County Highway Department.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Vetch to adopt this resolution. All in favor, say aye. Well, it's a roll call. Chris, we'll start with you.
Aye.
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 Motion, resolution carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Had to look for my note. All right, next up, we have Greta Gady and the 4-H crew. All right. Greta's from my district, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her. You are, right? You live in Marysville Township? Yes.
Morning.
Sorry.
First thing I'd like to do is introduce our new 4-H program coordinator, new to us as of June. He started with us. He's our full-time program coordinator. His name is Justin Crowley, and he comes to us from the Howard Lake area, actually, and he's been with us for 2 months. 2 months? More than that. 4 months now. And so he's been a great addition to our program. Maybe he just wants to say a little bit about himself real quick.
And Mr. Chair, just for the rest of the board, he's in Virgil's old office in the Public Works building.
Oh, okay.
So you know where he's located, so he can't hide anymore.
I can't hide.
Good morning, Justin.
The corner seems like you can hide, but you can't. A lot of windows. Originally from the Howard Lake area, as Kelly introduced me, excited to be back in the area. I actually went to the University of Minnesota for agricultural education degree, finished 4 years ago, and actually spent the last 4 years traveling around to colleges for my fraternity doing leadership development. So kind of excited to be working with younger youth. Really proud of the county 4-H program that we have going, and exciting of with the proclamation we're making today about National 4-H Week. We had a record 640 members as we tallied up last year's membership, as we shared at the County Extension Committee meeting, and just excited to be able to celebrate that in the next couple weeks here. So with that, like ready to
Kelly should introduce herself, too.
Okay, what's that?
Kelly should introduce herself.
Oh, Kelly, we all know you, but you should probably just say who you are too for everyone else, so.
Podium. Podium.
I'm Kelly Stry.
Okay.
Program, one of the 4-H program coordinators, and this is Greta Gady, our
Greta?
4-H
Okay.
Federation president.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Greta Gady. I'm the president of the Wright County 4-H Federation and a member of the Handy Dandy 4-H Club in Howard Lake. The Wright County 4-H Youth Development Program is an organization for young people, kindergarten through 1 year past high school graduation. MN4-H offers age-appropriate hands-on learning through projects and activities including 4-H clubs, special interest groups, after-school programs, volunteering, civic engagement, community service, and much more. Wright County 4-H program has 22 4-H clubs, over 600 members, and 150 plus adult volunteers. In addition to county clubs, community clubs, our program reaches over 700 Wright County youth through partnership programs in several communities. The week of October 1st through the 7th, 2017 is the annual celebration of National 4-H Week nationwide. This week is time to celebrate the many great things about being a 4-H member. This week is also time to showcase our organization in communities and recruit new members. Club members will be working hard to get the word out about 4-H. To assist with our promotion efforts, Wright County would like to ask the Wright County 4-H would like to ask the Wright County Board of Commissioners to declare October 1st through the 7th, 2017 as National 4-H Week in Wright County. Would you guys like me to read the declaration, or would you guys like to?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want us to grade you on it?
Oh. Whereas 4-H youth across the nation are leading efforts to solve problems in their communities and make a difference for their future. And whereas 4-H is Minnesota's largest youth development organization, growing leaders in every part of the state, reaching 69,000 youth last year alone. And whereas 4-H's Wright County's numbers more than 600 members and more than 155 volunteers. And whereas Minnesota 4-H is committed to empowering youth with the skills they need to lead for time, and youth in 4-H collaborate with caring adults to lead hands-on projects in areas like science, health, agriculture, citizenship, and art, and the arts, and whereas the 4-H experience helps youth to make positive choices, communicate effectively, build communications with peers and adults, and the meaningful contributors to their local and global communities. And now, therefore, I, Charlie Burrell, Chairman, should I read it?
I can.
You want to read that part?
Sure, I'll do that. And then we'll have to have someone introduce the resolution. Did a great job, Greta.
Fantastic.
Now therefore, I, Charlie Burrell, Chairman of the Wright County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 1st to October 7th, 2017 as National 4-H Week in Wright County. I urge the people of this community to take advantage of the opportunity to become more aware of this special program that enhances our young people's interests in their future as part of Wright County 4-H youth development, and join us in recognizing the unique partnership between our county and the University of Minnesota. And I will entertain a motion to adopt that resolution.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Potter. We'll give that one to Commissioner Hewsome. And I will start, and I will say aye.
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 Motion, resolution passes unanimous. Greta, you did a great job.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Be
Commissioner
an
Potter.
appropriate time to have a picture for the press.
Yes, we'd like that.
Okay.
And I think Greta got a 10, but Charlie, I think, not quite, probably an 8.
That's okay.
This is the time for a picture.
And I do want to say that your program on Sunday at the community center was excellent, very nice. My kids enjoyed it. I thought that was a great showcase.
And Greta, you can't get away that quick, though. Come back up to the podium. We're not done with you yet.
One other thing we should let the board know as well, in 2018, Wright County 4-H will be celebrating its centennial, so look for some exciting opportunities to celebrate coming up soon.
But how many in your family, your whole family has been in 4-H, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. And how, so you are where in the structure?
I'm the youngest in my
You're the youngest already, gosh. So, and then where, are you planning on going to school? Are you looking at that already, or are you?
Not really.
A little ways away, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, sounds very good. Well, we're very proud of you. You did a great job, so thank you very much.
Thank
you. Okay, thank you, Kelly and Justin, too.
Yeah, thank you.
Kelly, I'll sign this if you want to. Kelly, I'll sign this if you want right away here, so.
Sign a couple of them, Mr. Chair, just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
in a couple different spots.
I guess I'll just get the rest to you. Grab that one for now, and I'll sign
we'll
this
get some hung up here.
Okay, thank you again very much. Okay. Next up, Jen Russell from the Economic Development Coordinator for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. Good morning.
All right, hi, I'm Jen Russell with the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, and I am here just to briefly let you know about what's going on with our Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, known as the CEDS, and how the document kind of came about and what the next process is. So just to recap, the intent of the CEDS is just to identify regional attributes and issues within the counties. It provides data and information on the region, discusses external and internal trends, and then just establishes any regional goals or objectives. So the whole process started with a steering group that sat down and it started discussion about where are we as a region, where are we as our counties and cities, and how do we get to where we want to go over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So we started off by having community meetings in each county. We hosted 4 community meetings in every county. And the meetings kicked off by a lot of data being presented to the region and to the communities. We then evaluated economic conditions where the community members and local stakeholders really got to sit down and dig deep into what the data showed and kind of the projections of the data and where the county was sitting at the moment. And then we sat down, we decided to do a SWOT analysis. So that's a strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats, where you really can focus on the demographics, the physical aspects, infrastructure, and so forth. So those are just some examples of topics that were discussed through the SWOT analysis. We then identified goals and visions for the region. So like I mentioned, during the 4 county meetings, all the stakeholders were allowed to give input on what they felt was necessary and needed for the community in the region. And then we just developed those goals and implemented them into the plan. So we discussed 4 large cornerstones: human capital, foundational assets, economic competitiveness, and community resources. And under those 4 cornerstones were multiple topics. And those were really where we really designed those objectives and goals that are in the CEDS. And the reason why we had these 4 topics is because it aligns with the other state CEDS throughout the region. And there's a regional plan called Develop MN. Develop MN is a statewide economic development plan that was established by all of the other regional development commissions throughout the state. So now all of the Minnesota CEDS are aligned together and have all of these components within every single CEDS. So I wanted to go over the goals that were created under the 4 cornerstones real quickly because those were the most important things that came out of this CEDS. So what kicked this off was Luke Greiner from DEED presented on the county demographics, and that helped us create the labor force goal and the educational attainment goal. So for the labor force goal, what was developed by local stakeholders was to uphold a high labor force participation rate and maintain a low unemployment rate. And then the educational attainment goal was to increase the number of residents aged 18 to 64 who have completed post-secondary education and really focusing on getting everyone with those certificates, all the training and all the skills that they need to be members of the workforce. Economic competitiveness, we had Bridget Tuck from the University of Minnesota Extension come and present on county industry and employment trends, and that helped us to establish the business growth goal and entrepreneurship goal. And the business growth goal was to foster job creation and support the growth of new and existing businesses by providing capacity building information, tools, and resources. And then the educational goal, the entrepreneurship goal was just to really focus on supporting those local entrepreneurs. How do we get them the resources that we need and get them to that next step? Foundational assets, we had Jonathan Ehrlich from the Met Council. He presented some data to the steering committee, and that helped us develop the transportation goal, which is to develop and maintain a regional transportation system that supports economic productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness throughout the region. And then we talked about broadband. Everyone knows broadband's an issue, and that was a topic that came up in every single meeting in every county, and we basically just need more of it. How do we get our communities and government on track with what the cities need, and how do we get the communities active with their broadband goals? Foundational assets, we had SEH come in, they're a consulting firm. They helped us discuss issues with our water quality, and then Minnesota Housing Partnership discussed any housing data and trends that we had. So the water quality and wastewater infrastructure goal is to just improve the water quality by ensuring the region's groundwater and surface water supplies are protected from depletion and degradation by reducing the number of impaired waters and endangered ecosystems. And then the housing is just to really create options for everybody, no matter where they're at with their housing lifestyle at that moment. And then community resources, this was a joint county meeting. We had this at the St. Cloud Library, and this was all the counties coming together, and we talked about arts. And we had Sheila Smith from the Minnesota Citizens for the Arts come and do a fantastic presentation on how arts and economic development are really impacted by one another, and they really go hand in hand. And that helped us come up with the goal for the arts and culture, which was just to promote cultural amenities for the purpose of attracting economic investment and skilled workers to the region. The last one was tourism. We had the University of Minnesota Tourism Center come and discuss tourism with us. And that goal was to strengthen the local economy by attracting people from outside the region to increase visitor spending and increase consumer awareness of Region 7W. And the natural resources goal is just to protect and preserve our environment while enhancing the quality of life for current and future generations. So where we're at right now is we're evaluating the SEDS. We're making sure, do we have everything in there that we need? What's missing? We're going around to our communities, presenting to the boards to really get all that feedback and comments that we need for the SEDS. We are in that 30-day public comment period. It ends at the end of the month. And after that, we will then submit the SEDS. So future roles for CMJTS. My role is going to be to help the cities and communities focus on writing those grants. We're here for the technical assistance. We also have to do annual updates, and that's just letting the federal EDA know where we're at on our projects. Have we accomplished anything? What do we still need to focus on? And then just making sure we're really continuing the partnerships with all of our local communities and counties. So we are working on appointing a governance board. Like I mentioned, we're in that 30-day public comment period. We will then hopefully get approval from the EDA after we submit the grant, or submit the SEDS. And we do have some counties and cities right now that are actually pursuing EDA grants, which is great because that's the whole point of it. And then today I am here to actually get a motion to approve the submittal of the SEDS document upon the completion of the public comment period. Any questions? I know I went quick, but I didn't want to go through the entire document. I'm sure you've seen it all. So.
Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jen, that was a great presentation. I wasn't able to make all the meetings because of conflicts with other things, and everybody knows transportation is my #1 focus, but every time I've been in there, it has progressed along the path. And I want to thank former Commissioner Swatsky at the beginning of this to help, because he understood it from before, to help bring us along to say this is important. I don't know why it faded before, but we're back. And I'm real happy to see that the cities are already starting to use this tool in here. And if I recall my timeline, I think we're right on the timeline.
We're 2.5 months ahead of schedule.
Getting this approved. Which is good. And I do want to thank Dwayne Northagen also for making sure that he was there for some of these, and he kept me updated on the ones I missed, which was kind of nice to have the updates there. And it's a lot of work in a document, but it does make us eligible for how many different silos or whatever.
There's 4 different EDA programs that you can apply under projects for.
Without having a SEDS, we're not eligible for any of those.
Yeah, so the benefits of the SEDS is just to access those federal grant dollars that are available. We are the only region in the state of Minnesota that did not have a SEDS completed, so we're not able to access those funds. So this just gives us an opportunity to have another resource out there to complete some local projects.
And for everyone that's not that closely tied to this, as Commissioner Potter, the SEDS is a comprehensive economic development strategy. Yeah. And now for my help, what is DEEDS? It's real close, but...
DEED?
Yeah, DEEDS.
Department of Employment and Economic Development.
Department of Employment and Economic Development, okay.
And that's where the bulk of our data came from.
That's, I say, you get a lot of your data from them.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Let's go to Commissioner Houston first.
I was just going to say, wow, I was really impressed with this comprehensive analysis of our region, and I mean, this is a great document. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Vance.
Jen, one thing that I thought was interesting that was missing was the post-high school local accessible educational technical education options. I was just kind of interested that that wasn't addressed at all.
Okay.
Wanting more education locally outside of just more regionally
Sure.
for technical aspect.
Sure,
I
and
don't know if that was brought up at all at any of the,
I believe it was, yes, but these are good comments that we're looking for as this comment period is ending. So if there's anything that you would like to see added or missing, please feel free. And maybe we can chat a little bit more about that after too. You can shoot me an email and we can discuss it, or a phone call. Because there are things that we may be missing, but it's hard to do a regional plan, of every county is a little bit different, but they also have a lot of the same issues. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Mr. Delight.
Jen, regarding the public comment, where can people get that so they can do the commenting? And when does the 30 days end, so that people are aware?
The 30 days ends at the end of the month, and cmjts.org is our website. It's going to be under reports and publications, and it's also on our very front page on the very bottom under latest news. And then you can just send all comments to myself.
So they got to get it done by Saturday.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
We're cruising along.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To answer Commissioner Vetch's question, we did discuss this. It was early on in the process about opportunities to expand post-secondary education here. There are currently minimal classes available here. We're trying to see how the collaboration between that community colleges and St. Cloud State and that can expand those, but that's a whole different subset of situations here. It's going to take a little time to get to that point. I think as the need and the opportunity grows, then Wright Community College and St. Cloud State will probably be expanding more classes, more opportunities here. But that takes us to step forward a little bit too.
Mr. Chair, Derek and Jen, I have also been sat in different sessions where this has come up because it's a critical need, and more businesses are doing on-the-job training to get these skilled workers in, and that's important because, so yeah, to get the information out to people, I think it would be a great thing to do.
I just like to see it somewhat incorporated, at least somewhat heavily, because if we can use that to help it get some of the funding for it, to help attract some of those options to our area more locally here in Wright County, to giving people to get that post-high school education closer to home.
Well, the other thing, according to our meeting yesterday, is that we can bring them, but we got to have a place for them to live that they can afford, instead of spending 50 to 70% of their income on a place to live.
Yeah, and that was discussed often as well.
Commissioner Dotleiden's house is open.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To answer more questions, when I go down to the Capitol on different transportation issues, and some of the boondoggles I see going on down there at the Capitol that are just wasteful money, I try to make a point to people on the education committees along with the committees in charge of boondoggles, that wouldn't your money be better spent on tech school and skills training throughout the state than some of these? I'll just pick on Southwest Light Rail. $2 billion. Now, if you spend $2 billion on post-secondary education for those that aren't going to go to college, tech school training that actually enhances and meets the needs of the employers out there, wouldn't we be dollars ahead on that? I mean, I'm trying to keep that in their front of the lobe all the time. You should be thinking about this. This is where the money should be spent. I think it'd be return on investment if you're into that part of the aspect. That would be better spent than what they've been doing down there on some issues.
As you said it before, there you go, trying to put common sense in the government.
We'll have none of that around here.
And I would just like to speak to Commissioner Deleiden's point about the housing. I say we have a planning and zoning department that restricts the availability of land to build on, to keep those prices higher, to keep people out. So unless we're going to change that, I mean, it's just all lip service unless we're going to do something about it.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the said strategy plan.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the support. We appreciate it.
Jen, before you leave, Mr. Chair.
All your work.
Oh, go ahead.
Is there something that we need to have signed to submit this with the EDA?
No, we're just going to put the minutes in with the document.
Okay, the minutes with the,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next up, Alicia. Did I do it right? Alicia O'Hare, Water Resource Specialist at the Soil Water Conservation District.
How do I switch it to this thing?
Something on there.
You got it. Okay. I'll just stick that on there. I was supposed to have a PowerPoint, but then I didn't bring my laptop, so I only have a few slides, so this will work just great.
That's the one you don't show up.
So
We have to put a piece of tape on there for.
Wright Soil and Water is in charge of the county water plan, and with the transition to one watershed, one plan, we just have to ensure that the county still remains eligible for grants from the Board of Soil and Water Resources, or Bowser, while we potentially transition to those one watershed, one plan grants. Just a little bit about the timeline that's going on here. Our last plan was approved by Bowser in 2007. That's our current plan. The One Watershed, One Plan legislation was passed in 2012. Then in 2014, the North Fork of the Crow watershed was accepted as a pilot into One Watershed, One Plan. Our original plan was supposed to end in 2015. It was extended to 2017. And then next June, the North Fork of the One Watershed, One Plan is projected to be completed. And the extension we're proposing is until 2022. So to give you a map of Wright County, the green area there is the North Fork of the Crow that covers the majority of the county. And what we anticipate, this is, just to clarify, this is not what I'm asking you to do right now, but what we anticipate is the North Fork of the Crow plan will become the county water plan for that area as soon as it is adopted. And then we have two areas left over. We have the Mississippi St. Cloud area in the north, and then we also have the South Fork of the Crow so that'll be the other One Watershed, One Plans that we'll be involved in. So we anticipate the Mississippi St. Cloud will happen first, and we'll partner with some of these neighboring counties here to create that One Watershed, One Plan. The South Fork of the Crow we don't anticipate happening terribly soon because one of the players isn't interested. There's a watershed district in the South Fork that doesn't want to do One Watershed, One Plan. So we don't know that they're going to do that until we're forced to. Also, as a clarification, we don't have to be a considerable player in the South Fork. It's less than 5% of our judicial area. So we can participate, but we're not required to. And since the Crow is housed in the SWCD office, I'm sure we'll be keeping track of anything that happens in the South Fork, but we don't necessarily have to send as much time to doing it. So what we're asking for today is that we want to amend and extend the current county water plan, and particularly we're going to update the executive summary and the implementation plan, focusing on the Mississippi St. Cloud and the South Fork areas. We will adopt the Clearwater Watershed District plan for part of the Mississippi St. Cloud area because they have done theirs more recently, and it's ultimately less work for us to do that. Excuse me. So we'd update the implementation plan, and that would extend through 2022 when we should have the One Watershed, One Plans ideally would be working through. And the resolution that I've put forward basically says that we're going to continue with the process of one watershed, one plan. And that is, continue to work on the North Fork of the Crow, and then when the Mississippi St. Cloud and the South Fork, we will participate as we see fit for those areas.
Okay. Mr. Chair? Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Mr. Chair, you've been involved in this quite a bit, and I would like to get some...
Well, I'll just, no, I mean, what Alicia has planned here today, I mean, we just pretty much go with it. Where I'm struggling a little bit with the one watershed, one plan, and it's not the plan itself, but the governance structure, and actually, it's not even really the governance structure. It's, I've put this out there as clear as I could, is at some point, if this one watershed, one plan needs funding besides the grant money that comes from the state from Bowser, how will that be accomplished? And I said, I don't want what we have with the Crow right now is Wright County, you have more people, you have more land, you pay the lion's share, and we get the same vote as somebody that has, like let's say we have the little tiny bit in the Crow. So we will have a vote in the South Fork if they ever come up with one, apparently, if we had the same structure. So there's a county up, let's say it's Pope County or whatever, Candy, Ohio, people that have very small land masses and population in the North Fork will get the same political representation. And I'm like, I said, I'm okay with that, with them having the vote, so we're equal, but do the funding so that it more follows the grant money rather than just because we have a lot of people, we pay the money. That's where and I'm still struggling, and everyone says, they keep telling me that we're not going to need any money, we're not going to need any funding. And so I keep saying, okay, if we do, how would you propose that it be accomplished, Otherwise, that it's a real hang-up for me, and I think I've made that pretty clear to the board. You could imagine that, right?
Clearer than the Crow.
So, but right now, what Alicia has planned here today is, I mean, I think it's continuing our watershed plan that we have now until the North Fork is up and going.
Right, and then just updating the areas that aren't covered by that, and that allows us to continue to get Bowser grants while we're waiting to get the new one watersheds, one plans in effect.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution and intent to develop a comprehensive watershed management plan in Wright County.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewson. Further discussion? But I do hope that we we can come to an agreement. And what I've proposed with the one watershed plan, one plan is to follow the grant money. If there, and I'm hoping that it never happens where we have to put in extra money. But I said if we do, then it would follow the grant money. So if you want the grant money in your county, then a portion of that, whether it's 5% or 10%, would have to be matched by the county that's getting the state money. And chances are Wright County's going to end up ponying up quite a bit of that because we do have a big land mass in the one watershed, one plan. So I just, and like I said, I want it to be fair, and I want Wright County to get a fair shake at it. So, all right. Further discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Roll call vote, Mr. Chair.
Oh, it's a roll call too. Let me see. Did I start this? No, I didn't.
No.
Commissioner?
You start this one.
I did? Okay.
No, you need to.
Okay. I vote aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you for your hard work.
I'll be right back. I gotta call the school nurse.
Okay. Did you want me to hold off for a second?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Fine with you.
Okay. We had at one time scheduled we have 5 Tuesdays in October. We had planned kind of tentatively to not meet on the 10th, but I understand that's kind of up for reconsideration. Is that right, Lee?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there was discussion at the last board meeting about that October date, the 10th, of canceling it. We had, as you just stated, in April, picked the 10th as the date of which we would not have a board meeting. As was discussed at the last board meeting, it is Health and Human Services on that Monday and Committee Day on the Wednesday, the 11th. So I guess it's, I just brought it back based on last week's discussion for the board if they would
Mr. Chair,
want to take
go ahead,
action.
I know yesterday they, at Health and Human Services, they were talking about public health, I think. The state people were coming out.
Yeah.
So we either need to make a decision so they can change their date or just stick with it and choose a different date, so.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Try to have those people change their date. It's
Pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So, did anyone have any, I think I'm open no matter what. I mean, I don't really have it's not gonna be a week vacation. I have meetings pretty much every week. I guess Halloween would make sense, you know, you could all go out trick or treating, right, Bob? Chris, did you have any suggestions?
I have no suggestions.
First would be okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to change the fifth Tuesday of the month meeting that we do not have from the 10th of October to the 31st of October.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome to, because of the 5 Tuesdays in October, to not meet on the October 31st date. Further discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so we will meet on the 10th.
Sorry, Lee.
Got it. Okay, next up, resolution setting the preliminary 2018 budget. Lee, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, I do. Mr. Chair, as you know, this is the culmination of many weeks of budget meetings, and prior to that, a lot of effort put in by department heads and staff in compiling our budgets and presenting it to you in a format. So we are required to pass our preliminary budget and levy by statute prior to September 30th, so this is the last meeting we do have to take action on that. I've included the resolution in your board packet outlining both the budget as proposed preliminarily as well as the levy. As it is drafted right now, it is an increase of the levy of 7.73%.
Okay. And I would like to mention to the public and anyone out there, Wright County is a growing county, so not only is our population growing, but we also have, with that comes the need for services. And where I would like to see more economies of scale and to keep our growth down, we do have to provide those services that, you know, so we ended up with more positions this year in our budget. But also what I wanted to mention is, and maybe Commissioner Potter can more elaborate on this, but we have an expanding tax base with our growth in the population. So a home that does not change in value from last year to this year will see a very, very small increase, is what I believe.
Correct, yes.
Commissioner Potter, did you want to elaborate a little bit?
Thank you. With the budget process, it's kind of it's a best guess forecast of what you're going to need in the future here. Being that we have the growth going on, and being that we've identified in the last few years the transportation issues that have come up with this growth, and this year was the IT component, which was stepped up. We need to get a command of that one and get that, in my opinion, straightened out so it actually addresses and meets the needs, because of all the different departments that require IT to actually function has gotten even more demanding on them, and they need to get that fixed. Health and Human Service, most of that is mandated by the state or the federal government. We have to deal with that whether we like it or not. It doesn't, you know, we have to address it. The Affordable Care Act, had a couple things come on for 2018 that were not there before, you know, that would need to be addressed. This thing, the budget goes up, we have growth to offset quite a bit of this.
Most of it.
Most of it. We're playing catch-up still a little bit, and God bless the former commissioners. They were very, very conservative on how they're doing things, but they didn't address the growth issues. That wasn't part of their, when the economy went in the recession mode, they were, pulling their horns and let's just hold on and see what's going on here. And it was obviously the correct position to take at that time. And they were a little bit ahead of the curve on the rest of the counties that addressed that. But the holding hard zeros comes at a price, and eventually you got to deal with it. This year is one of those years we need to address this, because as people know out there, we are going to start building a courts facility out by the jail, the LEC there, and that will have an impact for the 2019 budget. So it was behooved us to address some of our issues now instead of kicking that down for another year. We've also taken our capital improvement program and increased that exponentially closer to where it actually should be for a county our size. Some people can agree, disagree, but if you have expenses are coming in the future, you need to dial that in on a plan so before it comes up, it's there. Some counties take to what's called baseline budgeting, where things are automatically in there they're doing. We're doing it a little bit different, but I like the process because it was open. Everybody got a chance to speak. And I don't see an issue with this, and I like the fact that we use our own tax statements instead of the old John Anderson, Elm Street, Anytown USA type thing. What does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? So you can either look at that and say, okay, my commercial property went down by $400 the last 3 years. Everybody's happy with that, but mine's probably going to go up by $15 based on this budget for next year. I have a hard time saying that's the cost of services have gone up by at least 2.5% based on everything else going on. But Mr. Chair, I think the process went well, and if you take other counties our size, we're still levying a lot less than they are. So we're still conservative. I don't think we're going to be 84th out of 87 anymore, but we'll probably be 79th out of 87, somewhere in that neighborhood. But we're still going to be down there where we want to be.
And also, I think we have gone over the budget pretty good, but this sets the maximum that it can go up, but we can lower it too. So hopefully maybe we'll be able to find some other areas that we might be able to trim a little bit. I don't know if that will happen, but I did want to say with the tax capacity going up, the tax rate will increase from 39.599 to 39.837. So it is, like I said before, it's a slight increase overall. But, okay, anyone else like to speak, or will? Okay, and this is a resolution as well, Lee?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution for the preliminary budget and levy for 2018.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten. Commissioner Delighten, you're up.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, the resolution is passed, and that is dealt with. Next up. Okay. We had a special board meeting for November 28th, Lee, for the budget and levy. Or Bob, did you want to speak to that?
I can speak to that, Mr. Chair. We are required to have a meeting to discuss the budget and levy. This is the meeting that was formerly known as Truth and Taxation that we must have annually following, and can be scheduled as early as November 25th. We had identified this date and time at the beginning of the budget process, and so I would recommend that we move forward on holding our nightly budget meeting on that date of November 28th at 6 p.m.
I'll make a motion to approve the special board meeting for November 28th at 6 p.m. regarding the 2018 budget and levy.
I'll second that.
Okay, and Lee, and this is not going to take the place of our regular board meeting, or we will?
This is in the evening.
This will be a special meeting at 6 p.m.
So we will still meet at 9 in the morning, and this will be a 6 p.m. meeting.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. I did not catch that. It was motion by Commissioner Delighten and second by Commissioner Hewsom. Okay. All right, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner DeLong.
Regarding this, do you have an idea when the preliminary tax statements will be heading out to people?
They'll be going out, I think, in October.
In October? Okay.
We have to get all the certified levies from all the municipalities crunched together, so.
I'm just trying to think, because I remember there was one year, I think it was on the first year we were on the board, that it was like a week before, or just a few days before the Truth and Taxation meeting that people had been getting them. So I just want to make sure that, you know, they get them a few weeks ahead of time.
I'll give you an update as we get closer.
Okay.
You mentioned the
Thank you.
association and the...
All right, and we are going to have a closed session after this meeting, but we, advisory committee, did you have time for that, Chris, or not?
I will excuse myself, Mr. Chair, and be back for the closed session. I
Okay.
need to go take care of something important for a minute.
Yep, not a problem. Okay, Commissioner Potter, did you have anything for advisory committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take up all the extra time that Commissioner Hewsom's not going to use. Last week, I was fortunate to be picked and serve on the MnDOT Variance Committee. I've been on that a few times, and it's an interesting process. I mean, someday Wright County might be going through this. It's nice to know what their rules and procedures are for this. Got to serve with the Wayne Sandberg, who's the Public Works Director, County Engineer for Washington County. Very sharp person. He deals a lot with AMC with transportation issues there. Paul Stein, who usually chairs that, was in Puerto Rico, and as far as I know, he's still in Puerto Rico. He can't get out. You know, but and he was supposed to come back just in time for 2 days before retiring. That's a little different. That was kind of interesting, that with sitting with the different people and different issues there. Other thing, we had the library board, nothing earth-shattering there. We had done with a lot of the job descriptions were actually matched to what they're actually doing. Some of them hadn't been, for instance, 99, they hadn't been addressed. So as we're trying to shape this and mold this to what they're actually doing and make the jobs match the description, everything else is just more cleanup things and more in the HR department of that. The other one meeting I was at last week was District 7W. The 7W district is in District 3, which is us for MnDOT, sit on the policy board up there. We're going through the different things in the STIP and the different solicitations that are open now, and they'll have a workshop coming up in a couple weeks on the 10th of September, actually, up in St. Cloud, and at the end of, the 10th of October, and the end of October is when it closes for those applications, and Virgil's well aware of this going on, and so are our cities, which ones are coming up. The other thing that was good news is for Highway 55, which was going to be basically microsurfacing or glorified overlay on that between Buffalo and Rockford, is now going to go to a full reclamation project. They'd come up with some more money. They'd re-looked at it and decided that they need to reclaim that instead of just put another Band-Aid. They need to do that better, which is good for all the citizens that are taking Highway 55 to the metro and actually use that on a daily basis for either work or pleasure. It means it's going to be a little bit more complicated next year when it gets done, but I believe that they'll end up with a much better product. Every time I've seen that reclamation, the road has turned out much better than what was sitting there.
Like, are they looking at widening 55 at some point, or isn't that part of the ultimate goal of the 55 coalition, or
are they going to do some turn lanes and that sort of stuff? As long as you're answering that question.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the 55 coalition was a federal grant a while ago. We had some money left, so it was supposed to slated to end this year, but we had extra money, so we extended that till 2020 with the board's blessing and Hennepin County blessing. The vision back then, that was like when the interregional corridor and all those studies were going. Those are more personal opinion here is pie in the sky, things that probably are never going to get funded because the costs exceed the benefit with how MnDOT's running taking care of what we have existing. It's kind of conflicting with that. The other issue with 55 coalition, they were looking at from Metro all the way out to Annandale being 4 lanes all the way there. The goal is it's lofty, but it's more likely unattainable because you'd be taking out houses and businesses to achieve this. You also have slopes and wetlands that deal with which those don't get friendly either. And all the environmental regs that came on after this was adopted have increased the cost of doing roads by, I believe the number's like 40% increase the cost. So this is making it virtually impossible. So to modify the 55 agreement would be in the city parts, get that to 4-lane with the full turn signal, full turn lanes, and between like Rockford and Buffalo, if it's possible to get a bypass lane, we can, no guarantee. It's a little bit different setup, but 55 now is not a high priority for Hennepin County because of 252 and some other things there. Fortunate thing for Highway 55, it's under the Corridors of Commerce program, which was, and thank you Representative Fitzsimmons for allowing that to be the last one to slip under the wire to get in available for that funding. Hennepin County has freshened up all their environmentals all the way to the county line. And I worked with Senator Osment and Representative Hertas to try to introduce legislation, but we had to fix Highway 12 this year for 55 to go from Arrowhead to Loretto to get that to 4-lane because that will help. And the support with that is the Met Council has a bus rapid transit station planned for Loretto 10 years out, like 2027. So if this gets done to there, this actually enhances and works with that plan. Good. The part from Loretto to Rockford there will take a little bit of lobbying because there's a lot of projects online right now and a lot of need out there, not as much money as they'd hope for. But after 2020, I don't foresee the 55 coalition staying together unless there's some kind of injection of money.
Okay. I am going to pass. Mr. Delaney.
When I was at the AFC Policy Committee meeting regarding Health and Human Services, this next year is a policy and borrowing your
bonding, I think.
Bonding, thank you. One of the things that was discussed was about educating our local representatives and senators on what some of these mandates that are costing us, and it goes to what you always say is that they fund it for a couple of years, and then they pull the funding away or change the funding source or whatever they do, but to let them know actually what it is costing us to do that. So Health and Human Services are trying to pull some together, some numbers, so that we can help educate our local representatives. So that will be coming forward here in the future.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else?
No.
I'm going to pass. It was a slow week for me last week, so.
Okay, and again, we do have Labor Relations Strategy closed session at 11. Are we going to do that, Lee?
But yes, we could take a little break, but
okay. Or was it
follow right after?
Right after this meeting. So, okay. Alrighty, we'll take a short break and then we'll convene for that. All right. With that, we go ahead.
Do we want to
before you
agenda?
We have no other items on the agenda other than that. I think rather than holding the meeting open and then coming back to just close the meeting, I think we can close the meeting now and just go have the closed session meeting.
So just adjourn this meeting and
that
go
would
to
be my
closed session.
recommendation.
Okay. Was there anything else in the public? Anyone else have anything come before the board? Okay. With that, we were adjourned at 10:13.